Good afternoon. This is the final project for revenue management with Professor Mark Ferguson. The objective of this presentation is that the client, Eric's Grocery Store, is trying to increase its overall profits from beer sales. In particular, they're looking at Michelob's Ultra. Four things were looked at: display, features, price, and price reductions. So one of our goals was to set a baseline price for that particular SKU based on the Logit and ScanPro models. We also got some visuals done on Tableau, and we've also got some regressions done under different conditions to get the price elasticity. So we'll start off with the visuals. Here you can see this graphic from Tableau indicates demand versus feature. So the bars represent the colors of the bar corresponds to the can in box and long neck, and the bars represent whether a feature was held in that particular week. And you can see here that clearly most of the weeks where the features were held had an increase in demand. And this is all demand versus feature. So we're not just looking at Michelob, we're looking at other brands as well. And again, it matches the pattern of Michelob. When there is a feature, there is a rise in demand. Next up, we looked at display and the effect display has on demand. Again, here you can see with a few exceptions in the first few weeks of the year, when there was a prominent display, you can see demand did go up, with the exception of weeks 31, 32, where there was no display but demand was high. And again, this holds with not just Michelob but other brands as well. And finally, the effect of price reductions. Again, here it's very clear that when there were price reductions, demand surged as well. The demand does match very strongly with the period of the price reductions. And again, this holds for all the brands of beer, not just Michelob's. Finally, we looked at Michelob demand versus total demand. And what we were trying to look at here is that when there is a feature or a display or a presentation, that's the new demand for Michelob. Does it come from new demand from new customers buying beer when they would otherwise not? Or would it come from cannibalization of the other beer brands? In the case, if it was cannibalization, then the grocery store would not really get any benefit from that because they would lose profit from the other brands. What this suggests is that there is some degree of cannibalization, but most of the demand appears to be new. And this matches up with our regression analysis as well. Finally, we looked at cross elasticity. So we wanted to figure out whether changes in price of one brand of beer had a positive effect on Michelob's. So most of the cross elasticity tends to be low and positive. So yeah, an increase in price of a competitor beer actually does increase demands of Michelob Ultra. The two exceptions should be Sam Adams Light and Woodchuck Cider. The difference is it's hard to know why increasing a price of a product would decrease demand of Michelob's Ultra. But one possibility is that Sam Adams Light and Woodchuck Cider are complementary to Michelob Ultra. So when people buy one, they buy the other, in which case it would be negative as shown. Next up, we looked at just the holiday periods. What is the price elasticity like on holidays? To do this, we used a log model. So we look at log price against log demand, and the coefficient for log price would be the elasticity. The calculated elasticity here is -3, which is very, very elastic. What that tells us is that during holiday periods, if there's a reduction in price, the increase in demand would be threefold the reduction in price in percentage. So if there's going to be a price reduction, holidays would be the best period to make it. And then we looked at the different seasons, and most of them were elastic, were higher than 1 elasticity, which would suggest that any reduction in price would have a great increase in demand greater than the reduction in the form of a percentage. The one exception was for winter. It seems like in winter, beer prices tend to be inelastic. So during the months of winter, we would recommend increasing the price because the reduction in demand would be offset by the price increase and your revenue would actually go up. So in winter months, increase prices. Other months, keep the prices low. Summer as well. It's elastic. So the elasticity of Michelob Ultra, with all the data in aggregate, regardless of whether it's a holiday or whatever the season is, we calculated that to be 1.79. So for every 1% increase in price, there'll be a reduction of demand of 1.8%, making it price elastic. So in any product that's price elastic, increasing the prices actually reduce your overall revenues. And so we would advise Michelob to keep their price as low as possible to meet their costs. And finally, we use the Logit and ScanPro models to project expected demand and to calculate profit. Since we didn't have the actual cost to Eric's grocery store, we just used a baseline price of 5.1, which is the lowest recorded price in the data set. So we use the term relative profit because that's the incremental profit over your baseline price per ounce. So some caution needs to be used in interpreting the relative profit column. What surprised us that was when we broadened the model out using the ScanPro and we included the price reduction effect, feature and display effect, and the competitor's elasticity, we got a recommended profit maximizing price of 9.2, which is significantly different from the Logit model. So we believe the Logit probably holds better because given the relative elasticity of the product, we want to keep price as low as we can. So the result is that we believe also based on the features, display effect, and the price reduction that features leads to the greatest profit maximization. We base this on the descriptive tables that we created on Tableau, and we also base this on a multiple regression model we've done on Excel. What we would like to do moving forward to improve on our findings would be if we had actually the actual costs involved in running this grocery store and the cost of purchasing the beer were known, we could better calculate the profit maximizing level. We would also like to see price experiments conducted because the data we have from Michelob Ultra has prices under only 3 or 4 conditions. If we have done a price experiment in the past, we would better be able to estimate the full demand curve with greater granularity. And finally, the data did exhibit a great deal of seasonality. So what we would like to do is deseasonalize it, and that'll help us better get at the elasticity as well. Because we have multiple models for deseasonalizing and we had no tool to validate the deseasonalized output, we chose to omit that at this point. Thank you very much.